And for some Republican candidates, especially in moderate districts, having Donald Trump at the top of the GOP ticket in November creates potential problems. In Minnesota's 2nd Congressional District, which includes the western suburbs of Minnetonka, Bloomington, and Eden Prairie, Congressman Eric Paulsen has easily won re-election by double digits since he was first elected in 2008. But with Trump as the party's presidential nominee, Democrats believe Paulsen is vulnerable, and they have recruited a popular Democratic state senator, Terri Bonoff, to run against him. Senator Terri Bonoff was a recent guest on this show, and this morning we are pleased to have Congressman Eric Paulsen join us. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, great to be here.
All right, let me ask you, are you endorsing Donald Trump?
Well, I endorsed Marco Rubio way back, of course, who did well in Minnesota, but did not make it all the way to the position now of the potential nominee. So I'm going to vote and have said I plan on voting for the nominee coming out of the convention.
Okay, that is a pretty half-hearted endorsement, with all due respect. Some people might say that's a little wishy-washy. I mean, are you backing Donald Trump, who has been very controversial with a lot of more moderate Republicans?
Well, I think, you know, the reality is a lot of Minnesotans and voters in the 3rd District, they're frustrated with both the top 2 candidates. And I feel no differently. I've criticized Donald Trump when he's had poor rhetoric concerning women on this show, actually, with you. And so there's maybe not a lot of enthusiasm with the way the candidates are going, but you also have to recognize he has been able to capture more than 1 million votes in the primary election season. The voters have spoken, and we're still not done. And despite all those challenges, the Democrats have their own challenges, too. Bernie Sanders continues to really create real significant problems for Hillary Clinton.
Are you at all concerned that women voters may stay home? I know you're the father of 4 daughters.
Yeah.
There is concern that women especially will be turned off by having Donald Trump at the top of the ticket.
Well, one of the reasons that I've been successful is just working in a bipartisan manner. And I think voters in Minnesota, in the 3rd District in particular, appreciate getting things done, working across the aisle. I've got a solid record of doing that. I'm going to continue to focus on that, whether it's repealing the medical device tax, stopping human trafficking, my missing children bill, which just passed a couple of weeks ago. This is about really getting things done, despite some of the challenges in gridlock in Washington. And I think that's why I've been successful. And women appreciate that. All voters appreciate that. And that's going to continue to be a focus of mine going forward.
I know you have pushed hard on a number of sex trafficking issues and also now this missing children's bill. Why do you feel this could actually make a difference? Because it remains a significant problem here and across the country.
It really does. And it was interesting to find out that nearly 200,000 children every year go missing or abducted by a relative missing children. And we also discovered that in nearly half of these cases, there is a tax return being filed by the abductor, who's the relative. And that means a Social Security number for the child is being filed to get a tax return. There's an address. There's a location.
And the tax credit, too, which is unbelievable.
Exactly. But now we've got an address and a tool. Law enforcement has not had access to this information. So my legislation will allow the sharing of information for law enforcement to the IRS. We can get an address. We'll be able to save a lot of and reunite a lot of families and save a lot of abducted children.
All right. Another issue that you've worked on that a number of Minnesota legislators have also shared is the issue of opioid abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, does Congress need to really do something and step in to make sure that doctors especially are not writing these prescriptions excessively and that these prescriptions can be tracked more easily?
We really do need to step in. In fact, in the House, we passed 18 different initiatives last week. The Senate has already acted on legislation. This is going to be done very bipartisanly. It's helping law enforcement get access to that life-saving technology in an emergency situation. It's helping treatment centers. And it's also having a little oversight over the process of prescribing these medications in the first place, because, you know, with 44 people plus more dying every day of this epidemic on prescription painkillers, it's also leading into heroin deaths, methamphetamine, et cetera. I talked to the Dakota County Sheriff recently who said nearly 40% of all of his jail space is occupied by heroin addiction, methamphetamine addiction, and this comes from the opioid connection as well. And so we absolutely should take action at the federal level.
All right. Going back to the general election, you're facing somebody who was a well-known name in Senator Terri Bonoff, somebody who has also, you know, gone against her party in a number of areas. She's alienated the teachers union. She's voted against tax cuts for the wealthy. Are you concerned about facing somebody with that kind of name recognition?
Well, she's run before, for Congress before, and so it'll be a rematch in some respects. But I think, no, looking forward, I think I'm going to focus on what I've gotten done. It's interesting because there's these trackers that acknowledge how much effort we've put in terms of accomplishing things bipartisanly. So I have the #2 score in the entire Congress for actually getting bipartisan members signed onto my bills. #1 in the Minnesota delegation, and I'm top #5 actually in writing bipartisan bills in the entire House. And so I think as long as I focus on what I'm getting done and helping Minnesotans and serving the public, I'll be successful.
All right. Well, Congressman Eric Paulsen, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.